By now, you've all heard of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0, the latest book published by Mama Jumbo Shrimp. It's more than just another wine book. The fully updated second edition was inspired by students of the Vinitaly International Academy and painstakingly reviewed and revised by an expert panel of certified Italian wine ambassadors from across the globe. The book also includes an edition by Professore Attilio Scienza, Italy's leading vine geneticist. The benchmark producers feature is a particularly important aspect of this revised edition. The selection makes it easier for our readers to get their hands on a bottle of wine that truly represents a particular grape or region. To pick up a copy, just head to Amazon.com or visit us at mamajumboshrimp.com. Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Okay, hello everybody. We're a little bit early today. It's 5 p.m. Italian time. My name's Stevie Kim, and this is the Italian Wine on Clubhouse, the Italian Wine Club on Clubhouse. It is what we call the Ambassador's Corner. It's more like a fireside chat style of interviews from one of our leading experts of Italian wine, including the ambassadors from Vinitaly International Academy, interviewing one of their favorite producers. And today we have Alberto Cordero di Montezemolo. Very long name. I think I know his father. I'm not sure if I've ever met Alberto. I've met his father, I believe. I'm older, much. So, this, like I wrote to me, this is our actually 83rd episode. Is that correct, Laika? Laika, of course, is our
Hi,
clubhouse
Stevie.
manager. Ciao, Laika. Are you on a train, on a boat? You're usually unavailable. Where are you today?
I'm sorry. Hi, Stevie. Yes, you're right. It's the 83rd episode so far.
And where are you today?
I'm in my Italian class.
Oh, you're kidding. I can hear the echo. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
let you go
sorry.
back to
I'm
your
gonna leave.
class. It's
Yeah,
not a
sorry for
problem. Okay. So let me just welcome Alan Kwok. Ciao, Alan.
Ciao, Stevie.
I was like, why are we doing so early today? And I realized because you're still in Hong Kong. Is that correct?
Yes, so it is just past midnight, and I've just
Oh
opened
my
a bottle of
goodness.
Barolo from Alberto.
Oh my goodness. It's midnight there already. Listen, so Alan Kwok, for those of you who are less familiar, he is what we call an Italian wine expert of VIA as of November 2022. And he started his journey in the VIA community. When was that? A couple of years back? 2020?
Yes, it was in 2020.
Yes, I love Alan's story because he started with the Maestro program, which is a level below the ambassadorship. And then he did the ambassadors program. And now he's become an expert, so incredibly disciplined and determined in the VIA community. He is also a master of Knights of Alba from Cavalieri del Tartufo. What does that even mean?
It means that I take care of the Hong Kong delegation for the Cavalieri. So we organize 8 chapters all for the wines from Alba in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. That's what JC used to do, right? When he was in Hong Kong?
Yes, he was the previous maestro.
Okay, so you took over from JC basically.
Yes, when he returned to Italy, then he became part of the Grand Council.
So listen, how did you become to in the Italian wine world? Like, where did you start? You've always lived in Hong Kong?
Yes, no, I actually studied in Melbourne for 14 years. So it
Aha.
was then that I became interested in wine, and then, like many others, then we begin to read about wine critics. So I actually, besides Australian wine, I started to drink French wines, Bordeaux and Burgundy.
Of
But it was
course.
really when I discover like the wines of Italy, I feel there's much more passion and then much more characters in the wine, and that's when I try to discover more beyond like the normal Tuscany and Piemonte, and that's when I enrolled on the VIA program. I was
Okay.
actually one of the first. I think I was in the first batch of Maestro students
Oh,
in Asia.
excellent. Very good. And who was your teacher?
It was Alice Wong who really pulled me
Oh, it
into
was
the
Alice.
yeah. And then
Okay.
at that time,
Okay.
yep, they are running a wine course together with Vincent, Felix, and Anson. Yeah, so and that class is quite small, only three people, but I think yeah, it was really successful.
Very good. Listen, Alan, you will of course come to Verona soon for Vinitaly, and you will become one of our judges for five-star wines. When are you leaving?
So I think I'm arriving on the 27th.
Okay, so just
Yeah, just in
just
time.
okay. Listen, what about the restrictions now, the travel restriction? What is the current situation?
Basically everything is open, so there's no testing and there's no quarantine anymore.
Finally, my
Yep,
goodness.
yep, finamente.
So yeah, so no testing at all now. It's just
Yep, no testing at all. You can just fly in and then fly out without any restrictions.
well,
So if you
that's
want to come to Hong Kong, yeah, you're
yeah, I
very
haven't
welcome.
been to Hong Kong since the pandemic, so it's been more than
Yep,
3 years now, which is a very, very long time for me. I used to go there
yep.
quite often, as you know. So listen, today, last time, last time, I don't know if you've done Clubhouse since, but I recall very well you interviewed Steph Im, the crazy Chinese man from Etna,
Yes.
last time. That was so, and you know, we went to see him as the VIA
Yes,
class
yes.
when we
I
went to,
read about the story, and you
yeah,
open a photo, I think, of the 1,200 meters at the
yeah.
vineyard.
And he
Vineyard.
drove us everywhere. We got lost. We got stuck in an alleyway. Crazy, crazy winemaker, but super fun and great story. And today you have Alberto Cordero di Montezemolo.
Yes.
So why did you choose Alberto today?
I think, first of all, as you know, I've been reading and drinking a lot of Barolos, and I think with time, I sort of realized that while we always enter Barolo with like really famous names, and then also like vineyards, like we look for structure like Cavalieri the Alba and so on. But as time moved on, I realized that I really like the wines from Lamoa, and the Cordero is one of the biggest name in Lamoa. And but what is most significant, I think, is that they are really one of the pioneers who put Barolo back on the map after the World War II, together with Giacomo Odero and Renato Ratti.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really fascinated that they had already this vision to use to look into the cellars and also experiment with different biotypes and clones and so on. And I think these kind of things are like you can't really read in the books, and that's why I want to interview him.
Okay, excellent. And as you know, we're a very geeky group at the Vinitaly International Academy. So we always want to know what the learning objectives from this call. What should we expect from you after this call with Alberto?
So my burning question is really I want to hear the story of Nebbiolo Bichette, because Alberto family is one of the first to grow the biotype in the entire Barolo. They're known as more like experts, where other wineries would go and study this biotype at their vineyards. And also, I want to dig deep in the Barolo commune, La Mora, because I think it is a bit underrated. And also, I want to discuss how the style of Barolo has changes with the global warming.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do is now I'm going to hand over the mic over to you. But before going, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. But we replay this call. So this call that Alan is doing and every other podcast interviews on Clubhouse, we replay it on Italian Wine Podcast. So in case you miss it, you can tell your friends. If you find it interesting, you can have them come over to Italian Wine Podcast. I believe it's one of the leading podcasts in the world now. We had about 3 million listens last year, so pretty significant. And the Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner, believe it or not, although it's quite long, it's about 60 minutes. It is one of everybody's favorites. So keep tuned, and it's wherever you get your pods. You can get it anywhere: Spotify, SoundCloud, on your Apple, podcasts, etc. So this is where I get to enjoy the conversation. I leave the room. I will mute my mic, so I will shut up and then come back towards the end to see if there are any questions from the audience. Okay, over to you, Alan.
Thank you. So let me introduce Alberto, my guest. Alberto is the 19th generation of the Cordero di Montezemolo family, which is the owner of the historical family farm in the heart of the village of La Mora in Barolo. Born in 1981, he is the winemaker of the winery which he manages together with his father Giovanni and sister Elena. Most of the vineyards are located in the hamlet of Annunziata, which is also known as the hill of Mont Falate, and a name which is derived from Mont Falette or Monte de Faletti. This is, of course, a reference to the famous Faletti family, which is related to the Cordero family. And the property has been in these hands since 1340, which is really long history. So, ciao Alberto, and welcome to the show.
Ciao, Alan, and hi, everybody. Thank you, Stevie, for the introduction. Yes, I mean, you're right. You almost described a bit everything about the long history of the family. It's a quick and fast introduction of the property.
But could you tell us a little bit more about the winery and the history, especially the relationships between the families?
Absolutely. Let's say that Cordero di Montezemolo, you're right, Stevie, is quite a long name. It's my family name, and it's a very old family from Piemonte region. Was a noble family, Marchesi, so Marquise, mostly related to the royal family of Italy, the king, the Savoy family, and was mostly involved in many different and important positions in the army and the diplomatic scene, specifically during the 17th and 18th century. And this is when the family got several different properties in the southern part of the region of Piemonte, so around the city of Alba, but mainly on the flat part going to Torino, Turin City, and a little bit closer to the mountains. Let's say that the relationship we have between the location where we do wine and where we grow our vineyards comes not really from the Cordero di Montezemolo side, but mainly from the Falletti family side, which was the most important family, also noble Marchesi of the area of Barolo. There were many different branches of the Falletti family, and one of them, the Falletti of La Morra, finally met a Cordero di Montezemolo member, and they got married 150 years ago. So when they finally that was a lady, the Falletti, the Contessa Luigia, so was the last one and the only child. So when she passed away, basically the property where they used to make wines moved to the son, which is obviously my grandfather and Paolo, that obviously got the name Cordero di Montezemolo from the father, and we basically lost the Falletti part of the family name. That's why also the name of the property comes from, because Monfalletto basically comes from, as you said, from the Latin Mont Fallettum, so the mountain of Falletti family. So the mountain is basically a hill. We are at 300 meters above sea level, and this is the location where the entire history is related to.
So when you say like they got the marriage which happened 150 years ago, and that was of course when they planted the famous cedar tree, which you can really see from the Lamoa, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a very famous tree. It's a cedar of Lebanon that dominates the entire property. Is on the highest point, on the peak of the hill of Monfalletto, and surrounding the historical house and all the vineyards around the trees. It's a very big tree, very famous because you can see from the tree at 360 degrees, mostly the full Barolo area. And yes, you're right, that was planted in 1856, so a little bit longer, in a marriage that was with before the last Falletti. So we're still talking about one generation before the one that finally got Falletti and Cordero di Montezemolo.
So I read that the present day winery officially started in 1938, and it was one of the first to vinify Barolo entirely from Lamoa. And as the family always has the Monferrato in the possession, could you tell us if that Barolo is only from Monferrato or it is a blend of grapes from different places?
It is correct and not. Let's say that Monfalletto property indicates specifically the hill where we have the winery, we have the house where I live, and where we always had the property. It's since the 1340, so 19 generations and mostly 700 years that we are here. And you're right, still the original property that my processor used to farm the vineyards and making wine. It's very difficult to say which is the first vintage we produced, because it's we have several documents, and we know that wines has been always produced here since over 200 years, but you have to consider the Langhe area 200 or simply 100 years ago, which is a totally different scene and condition compared to the one we have nowadays. So nowadays we are more globally exposed, we are well known, people coming from all over the world, we have roads, train, highways, and so on. But if you go back 200 years ago, and if you look on the map, we were in a very unlucky position, because it was very hard to create the roads and to connect the Langhe with the rest of the world. And the rest of the world at that time was simply Italy, the Mediterranean Sea with the port of Genova, and the French border, which is just a 1 hour drive from here, but is dominated and protected by the Alps. So it was very difficult to create a proper business and market around the wine. So wine has been always a very important part of the economy of the era, but was simply one of the many different farming parts. So growing cereals and breeding cows and sheep, making cheese, farming apples, peaches. So everything was extremely important, and wine was considered obviously a good part of it, but not the only one. So we have basically the different documents that the wine has been always a part of the business of the area, but we don't have a specific year. We consider 1938 the first year that my grandfather Paolo started to promote the wine with under his name. So we moved from simply Monfalletto Estate to an official, let's say, a little bit more modern brand as Cordero di Montezemolo. But you're right, the property is the same, and the wine has been nowadays is the same as it was back to the days.
So even at this early stage, you are really like planting your own grapes and making your own Barolo instead of sourcing the grapes from elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. The entire production we do, which is not only on Barolo but also on the other wines, is made with the vineyards that we directly manage. A part of the Monfalletto, but very little part, is also leased. It's just beside the vineyard next to the Monfalletto hill that we can consider and we can include into the Monfalletto final blend. And but we manage the vineyard and we have a very long leasing, like over 20 years contract, so we can farm everything, we can make vinification, and so yes, 100% of the wine is entirely sourced.
And would you was Barolo the main wine product at that time, or it was not?
Yes, the two pillars of the winery have been always Dolcetto and Nebbiolo, and Barolo for sure has been always. Even if we look at the back at the old documents we have at the winery, it was always considered the most important one and the main production. But secondary, also extremely important, was the Dolcetto position. So Dolcetto played always a big important role on the daily wine consumption, while Barolo has been always considered a little bit more the prestigious wine consumption.
Yes. So I think it really strikes me that you're really concentrating in the Lamoa district. Besides, obviously, later we will talk about the Enrico. Um, so is there a particular reason besides that Lamoa is the most planted, has the largest surface area of Nebbiolo in Barolo? Could you tell us a little bit more about the style of Lamoa Barolo and how you see this in terms of all the communes?
Sure. Let's say that we tend to think about a wine mostly based on what happened in the last 30 or 40 years. So it's a quite recent history. But most of the time, reasons of something are more simple, and we just have to look back and to see what happened years and years before. So if we look, for example, at the origin of the Barolo, so 150 years ago, even more, let's say that the Verduno, for example, was the and a very important position, although was a very small and tiny village, because was the closest village to the train station. So the one that was more easy to connect with the rest of the world, with the transportation, shipments, and so on. Or you take Serralunga, but the lowest part of the village, where so the bottom of the hill where the Fontana Fredda is located, because also in that case was very easy to reach and to connect with the different roads, and because that was the estate of the king of Italy, Vittorio Emanuele. Little by little, then we had a period in between the two world wars, first and second. So we talk about the 20s, 30s, 40s, where the entire area became struggled by a very hard and difficult moment with a lot of troubles, as you can imagine, with the wars and with the partisans and the resistance. And then afterwards, you go to the 50s and 60s, where there was the economic Italian boom, the phenomenon that exposed the entire area to the big cities. So most of the people moved to Torino and Milano to reach a better expectation of life with a new job, and not working hard in the vineyards with a lot of stress and big commitments. At that stage, let's say that La Morra played an important role, because was the lucky position, if you look at the roads and the vineyard, where it was more easy to work, more extended portion of the land, so was a bit easier to develop a larger part of the new vineyards, and that's why, yes, La Morra, as you said, is mostly 30% of the entire denomination. At that stage, so we talk about 50s, 60s, and 70s, several people played an important role. As you said, my grandfather Paolo, beside Pietro Ratti, Giacomo Oddero, but we can also include other people like, Bartolo Mascarello, Bruno Giacosa, Angelo Gaia, a little bit later on in the 1780s. So if we look back to the history, everybody in their age played an important role. If you take, for example, the 90s, also a very important role was played by what we call Barolo Boys, so the new generation, with a lot of innovative ideas that want to break with the tradition. Then 20 years later, we see a more marriage and combination between those young generation with the old one. So we have to consider that the tradition is only is in constant evolution. So we are just here to we don't have any sure things to calculate on. We just have to look at what we have, and start and try to do our best to improve the know-how, and to go to the next step.
Well, I think what you said about the location of Verduno and also Fontana Fredda is really enlightening for me. So thank you for the information. And I think it also go to explain why Monfiliero is so famous, because it's the warmest site in Verduno, and it is so close to the transportation. So I'm really happy that you share that with us.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I would next want to go into details of the vineyards, because Gatera, which is in Monferrato, is I read in the books that it is one of the top 10 vineyards in the entire Barolo. So could you tell us a little bit about the signature of the vineyard and what kind of wines you make from this vineyard?
Yes, sure. Gatera is the official name, what we call MGA, Menzione Geografica Aggiuntiva, what basically the French domination or producers called Climat or Cru. So is the official name of the single vineyard, which is pretty extended, because are 28 hectares, the entire extension of Gatera. Not all of them are included or exclusively grown with Nebbiolo, because some of them are also grown with Barbera and Dolcetto and so on, and also other producers share this crew, this MGA Gatera with us. We are the major owner and producer, and this is let's say the 75% of the Monfalletto wine, which is our largest production, and as I said before, is the global blend of all our vineyards we have at the domain, which are all here around the winery, but they are pretty extended, and so that's why we consider this as our largest production, the classic version of Barolo. Beside this, we also produce only one tank. So when we go to pick the grape, we typically make a selection of two lots of the Gattera vineyard in two sites where we have peculiar clones Miquette that produce little bunches and little size and very old vines. We make a selection of this grape to make only one tank of fermentation, and finally the wine, which is around 5,000 6,000 bottles per year, are bottled with their official name Gattera. The main characteristic of the land we are here is to have a bit higher portion of sand and a lot of magnesium, and is a very open part of the valley. So the hill is in a very lucky spot because get a lot of sun, and so typically you have a bit just a little bit warmer area compared to many other sites of Barolo MGA. So the characteristic of the wine is to be always extremely gentle, extremely smooth and ready to drink also when is only 4 or 5 years old. So since the release, it's a bottle you can open and enjoy.
And this is the style which you're looking for, isn't it? So you would not think about to maybe blend Nebbiolo grapes from other communes to this wine. You always make this from Namora.
Yes, we always did from Lamora because at the end we have already a pretty extended surface to work on, because the entire vineyards are 56 hectares, but we have to consider also the property we have in Alba and in other parts. And we talk about also Dolcetto, Barbera, Nebbiolo, and so on. If we go specifically just on Barolo, we already work on 17 hectares, which is enough, honestly, at the moment for us. And we reputate that it's okay. We don't need extra vineyard. Of course, we'll always keep our eyes open. If there are any opportunities, we can see. But let's say that nowadays became pretty hard, pretty difficult to get new vineyards. First of all, because you don't find many, and secondary because the price rise up crazily, and so it's pretty hard to buy something or to rent something.
So when I visit your winery, I noticed that there's a top wine which is only on sale from the winery and bottled in Vietnam. So that's the Barolo Reserve Corvette. And this is made from the same MGA, but a smaller plot with around 70 different Nebbiolo clones. Since most of us would not have the chance to try this wine, can you tell us more about this wine and how does it taste?
Absolutely, this is a very particular product. It's a very rare and exclusive label because the name of the wine is Barolo Riserva Gorette. First of all, is the only Riserva we produce with the appellation Riserva. Gorette is not an official name, but is being always the name of this parcel of the Monfalletto that is just below the tree, the big tree we have on top, the cedar of Lebanon on top of the hill, and is the part that face east southeast, which is pretty extended, and so largest part of the grape is included in the Monfalletto Barolo blend. But in very good vintages, in the central part of the plot, we have 7 rows 5 rows, when we have 70 different clones of Nebbiolo that my grandfather, next to my father, selected in the 70s with the University of Torino of Viticulture. And we talk about Nebbiolo coming from different and selected at that time from different vineyards in Barolo, Barbaresco, but we also get Nebbiolo grape from Alto Piemonte, so Gattinara, Gemme, Boca, and Valtellina as well. So from these vineyards, which was experimental vineyards, we have a very high and big diversity of styles, and we like to make a tiny selection of this grape to make a micro vinification in a very tiny tank, and we age the wine for about 20 months in barrels, as we do with all the other Barolos, so doesn't spend extra time. But the particular thing is that it's just bottled in magnum size, 1.5 liters. Spend 6 years quiet at the cellar to rest a bit, and then finally is available. But as you said, it's just available here at the winery. So we don't export, we don't ship, we don't put this bottle in our catalogs, but it's only it's a jewel that it's available for people that love Barolo a lot and spend time to come to visit us. And finally, another very important thing and funny thing is to have the chance to buy any of the vintages we produce from this bottle. So if you come today at the winery, you can buy a Magnum from 98 or 2004, 2009, 2001. The recent release was 2013. So any vintage you like, you can have it. But of course, you must to come visit us and you have to be here.
And what did you learn from planting all the different clones? Like, what did you learn? What kind of clones is most suitable to your site? How was the conclusion?
But this is a funny question, because when you do research, especially on farming, sometimes it takes a long time to have finally some feedbacks. And when you finally have some feedbacks, you can use it for a short period, because at the end, the problem of making wine and being in this business is that the variable are constantly changing, and if you take the global warming and what happened nowadays to the war with the weather, that is obviously also in Barolo different compared to the 70s and 80s. What we were looking for 40 years ago is different from what we need nowadays. So that's why it's funny though, because you invest a lot to learn something that at the end is not useful, because you have to to try something different nowadays. But it's also true that you learn something, you put on a side, and then you keep it for future experience. It's a constant implement and improvement of your skills and your know-how. So most of the time, people ask us about what we did, and what was the secret of our good job in the 70s and 80s. And sometimes what we did in the past that was very important to do and good is nowadays something that is obsolete. I don't know if it's the right mean, but is something that we can't use it anymore, because the conditions are different. The way we farm nowadays is much more precise, pay much more attention to details. We have an extra budget compared to my grandfather time. More people, more workers, higher. The technology helps a lot, and beside that, also the weather is completely different. Just to give you an example, we every year we talk about this vintage is considered a hot vintage. But now, if we look to see our data from the weather station we have at the winery, it's more than 20 years that it's hot. Every year is very hot. So we have to stop thinking about a hot vintage or a cold vintage, because it's a fact that the weather is changed and it's warmer nowadays compared to the past. So we adopt technique. Also, the selection of clones we use obviously are the clones of Nebbiolo that are much better now with this condition, that perform better compared to the clones that my grandfather and my father were selecting and looking for 30 years ago.
So, coming back to this, I think in recent vintages of Barolo, for example, 2017 and 2019, the fruit concentration is like so high that it's really approachable, and sometimes like I really think that they have a structure of young Burgundy. So, do you think this is entirely because of the global warming conditions, but or it is also a change in the winemaking decisions?
Yeah, it is both. As I said before, is a combination of the two things. Our job and what we have to do is to interpretate what's happening. We have only one chance to make wine per year. So first of all, we don't have to make a big mistake, and this is number one. And secondary, we have to pay attention, to just look at what's happening around us, and if we do something, what is the feedback and the result. You learn something and you follow your idea. So nowadays the vintages are all for, not, I guess, not only for our winery, but I have to say for a largest part of producers, that there are much more approachable, ready, and smooth compared to the past. And then beside that, as I said before, and you remind me, all our vineyards are in La Morra, in Annunziata, where stylistically we always had a much more approachable style. So we don't follow this because we like this. We just follow this because this is our terroir expression. If I had vineyards in Serralunga, I would probably have a different way of farming and interpreting the wine.
But would you say that the maceration condition is also different in terms of temperature or the duration or the extraction method?
Yes, of course. Every time you implement and you set your style and your techniques with little steps and little changes. But I'm not so focused on that. I mean, it makes no sense to me to talk about yes, we do 15 days of maceration or 12 days or 18 days, because it's just a number, and what we look is the final result that has to be a good harmony. So all our wines, what we try to do, is to get a very beautiful balance of all the components: the perfume, the tannins, the acidity, the sweetness, which is not the sugar residual because it's zero, but it's the sweetness of the fruit you get from the glass. And so to do that, I'm not so rigid in following recipes, but I'm just do what I always did and try to do something different to see if I can perform better. So yes, temperature can be a little bit higher sometimes, can be a little bit lower, can be longer, can be shorter. It doesn't matter. For me, it's just a number.
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
Yep. So I think lastly, I would like to go into the subject of Nebbiolo weekend. So your winery like purchased 2 hectares of land in Villero, which is where you make the Barolo and Rico the sixth. So just lastly, I would like to go on the subject of Nebbiolo weekend. Like I read that the entire vineyard of your Villero was planted with Nebbiolo Vicat, and it was 100% from this wild type before. Can you share with us your experience in this grape and how like what makes you to change from 100% Miquette and back to, I think nowadays it's a blend of Miquette and Lambic?
Yes, you're right. The only parcel we own and we farm on out of this property around the buildings is localized in Castiglione Falletto village, and precisely in Villero MGA, which is one of the best vineyards of Barolo. We share the part of Villero with other very good producers that include Vieti, Sandrone, Paru, Soddero, Brovi, and many others, just to give you some names. So it's a very top position, and it's 2.2 hectares that my grandfather bought in 65 when his sixth child was born, and his name is Enrico. So a few years later, where he decided to make a single vineyard from this wine, and he decided to dedicate this wine to the new vineyard, to celebrate, let's say, the new vineyard and the new son, calling the wine Barolo Enrico VI. Villero is an area, it's the same altitude and same exposure here, more or less. We don't have a big difference. The main difference is based on the clay that is quite rich in iron and is a little bit more calcareous. It's also a bit fresher area compared to Monfaletto, so the Barolo tends to be a little bit more muscular, more masculine, with more full body structure, with more tannins, more black fruits, and more earthy notes. This is more or less a generic distinction from Villero, so from Barolo Enrico VI, compared to the wine we produce here in La Morra, in Annunziata, that tends to be more feminine, so more red fruits, sweet spices, more linear and central part of your tongue perception of tannins, and so on. In terms of vinification, honestly, we do basically the same, and farming as well.
And do you see that by using a larger percentage of the Nebbiolo Miquette, then it really makes better concentration? Or
As I said before, we are not focused on Miquette anymore as we did and were in the 80s, because nowadays we have, first of all, it's impossible to get a new Miquette, because what you can find in the market is only Lampia, and is globally. This is not only here, but is for everybody. Every plant we replant is based on Lampia, and new clones that are much better clones nowadays, more balanced, with more freshness, less concentration, compared to the Miquette that nowadays, yes, the old vintage is still very good and nice, but the performance is really more difficult to maintain in a certain consistency.
is that because it has like smaller leaves, so it makes it
Yes,
difficult?
Miquette is a Lampia with virus, so at the end it's very unstable. It was considered super good in a period when we had the very rainy vintages. So that why Miquette has been considered super good back to the 70s and 80s, because those were vintages very rainy years where we had a very cloudy sky, and so having more thin and little buds and leaves were safer in terms of the molds, with a lower production naturally, without big intervents. Nowadays it's not the opposite, because we don't have and you don't need the high vigorosity of the plants, but you need the leaves with a more extended page, so very wide, in order to maintain a kind of protection, like an umbrella, to the productive part of the plant.
Are you planting Nebbiolo Rosé as well? Because I read that.
Yeah,
Like
no,
nowadays.
rosé is more or less like Michette, is mostly disappeared, so it's mostly impossible to get some plants of it. We have few rows that are included in the Monfaletto, but yeah, it's like probably 3%. I have no idea, honestly.
And if you if you compare the three Barbaros you make, which is your favorite one?
Obviously, our three production
Four Barbaros, sorry.
children, as you can probably imagine, and so it's impossible to, let's say that my biggest proud is the Barolo Monfaletto for sure, because it's the flagship wine, is the most historical one. You play with many different plots, more young, more old, a little bit lower on the hill, higher where you have a more drier soil, a little bit more fertile soil. So you have to manage every single part with not crazy differences, but little adjustments to get finally a very high balance of each plot that finally together make a very big harmony to the wine.
So finally, I would like to ask you, what do you like to drink at home alone? And what is your favorite food to match with a bottle of Barolo Monferrato?
Good question. I like to, first of all, I like to drink a lot and many wines. Everything comes under my arm, is open right away. So I love Rieslings, obviously Pinot from Burgundy, although it's been more and more difficult to find and to pay for it. Obviously, all Nebbiolos from my colleagues in Alto Piemonte, the Rhone wines, Champagne, obviously, as all Barolo producers here in the area, if you come and you ask, we drink, we love bubbles. Etna wines, whites from Alto Adige, and I'd like to explore a lot and drink as much as I can to learn, to make comparison, to improve my know-how, which is wine at the end is good because you never finish to learn. Once you know something, probably it's the opposite. The more you drink and less you know, or your stereotype drop down. So it's that's the beauty of our business. And in terms of combination, is the same. I mean, nowadays cuisine is a mix and match of different influences. The Asian ingredients with South American ingredients, or Mediterranean with more Nordic ingredients. So it's very hard to say. What I like to say is that Nebbiolo, so I'm not talking about Barolo, but Nebbiolo as a grape in general, is a grape that is able to be extremely versatile. So it depends on what you're eating. The Nebbiolo in the glass is able to change and perform differently and match always pretty well with the wine, the dish you have in front of you.
It's funny that you mentioned about old vintages of Alto Piemonte, because I recently have some from the 60s and 70s from Gattinal, and I find that like the higher acidic structure and less fruit concentration makes it actually quite linear when aged, and you really have the feeling that it's almost like more to the direction of a white wine, because it has less of the earthy taste and the camphor taste and so on. So the ageability really surprises me.
Hello?
Yes, yes. So should we go
Didn't
to
get
the
you.
Q&A session?
Okay, so I'm back. So if there is a, first of all, hold on one second. Let me give you that special effect. There you go. You guys did such a wonderful job. Thank you very much for that informative session. I was just wondering, Alberto, can you just quickly, we don't have very much time, but can you just quickly give us an overview of the number of labels that you have and also in terms of the production volume? A little bit
Sure.
more about the market side. There you go.
Sure. Our production has been extremely stable over the years because we have at the end only 10 labels, and those are the same labels we always produced and have since decades and decades. So, beside the three Barolo we just mentioned and the Barolo Riserva Gorette, the special one we just sell here at the winery, we very important are also what we consider the varieties labels. So the classic ones for a daily consumption. So Dolcetto d'Alba, Barbera d'Alba, Langhe Nebbiolo, and as a white Langhe Arneis based on Arneis grape. We also have a tiny production of a single vineyard Barbera, a little bit more rich and opulent, and a tiny production of Chardonnay, more Burgundy style made. Beside this, we have also tiny production of Barolo Chinato, a very special product, and an Alta Langa, so the classic DOCG Metodo Champenoise of the era, which my father started in 88 to make. So it's a long time we do it, but it's a tiny production of sparkling wine. And that's it. As I said before, we only work with our vineyards, and we can calculate around 56 hectares and an average production of 300,000 bottles when the vintage is regular and okay.
In total, right?
Yeah, in total for all labels together.
Okay. And how many bottles or account for a Barolo?
Barolo is approximately 70, so is a 20 in between 25 and 28% of the total production.
Okay, all right. And do you have a particularly favorite wine for you?
No, as I said, it's a difficult question when you ask to a
Well,
producer.
let me ask you a personal question. How old are you? How old are you, Alberto?
42.
Oh, so you're not that young. I thought you were much younger. Your dad is your dad Stefano?
Stefano is a cousin, the one
Oh,
living
he's
in
a
Firenze.
cousin.
Yeah, he
Okay.
lives in.
I thought he
Yeah,
was
he's
your
a cousin.
dad. Okay.
No, my father is Giovanni, who's retired right now. I mean, he's here almost every day. He's in a good shape. He's 75, but let's say that since COVID or a few years before COVID, he started to be more on a side with all the responsibilities.
So you have these different labels for perhaps also the younger generation, but of course, Barolo in terms of price as well as the positioning, it's fairly for, let's say, a more mature market. How are you broaching the younger generation, the next generation of the wine lovers or wine drinkers? Personal perspective.
But of course, approaching new generations and new consumers, it's something that for a region, an area like Barolo, you can't do alone. So
Yeah, it's the $1 million question, you know.
yes. So I think that nowadays what is good is that you have let's say, a movement, and every producer in the area are smart and play their all cards better to approach new consumers in different ways. Let's say that social media obviously nowadays help a lot in terms of showing quickly and fast and well what is the offer of an area, and we offer a crazy beautiful landscape, as you know, and excuse me, and excellent wines. So and then we have a lot of new young generation of producers. I'm still young, of course. I'm only 42, but let's say that if already 20 years I'm on the road, so I consider
Aha.
myself not as young as others. But if I look at around me, I see a lot of my colleagues which are around 40s, 45 or so, and many that are 25, 28, 30s that are full of energy and a lot of ideas, and they know how to connect and to talk and communicate to their generation. So it's something that again I can't do myself only. I just follow the wave.
So, I mean, are you very active in social media? I'm on your Instagram right now.
I'm
Are you
I'm
doing the social media yourself? Do you have somebody doing it for you?
I'm very bad, honestly. So we have to hire. No, we have a person that is much smarter and good than me, so he does our social media stuff. No,
Okay,
I'm super bad.
okay. So you have a staff member doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. All right. So check out his social media. It's Cordero di Montezemolo Winery. One word.
Yes, exactly.
It's very long.
Yeah, we like
Um,
our difficult things.
yeah, yes, exactly. And you said you've been working for about 20 plus years in the winery, in the family company. How has it evolved? What are the main differences from 20 years ago?
But you know, guys, extremely well what's happening in the world since iPhone arrived in our life. So what I consider probably the biggest difference is the speed. Everything you do now has to
Mm-hmm.
be fast, has to be communicate quickly, and it's a plus, it's an advantage and a disadvantage, as you probably know. So that's probably the main big difference I noticed. So we became much more popular compared to the past. We can communicate much faster. On the same time, we can lose everything faster too. Beside that, we still do the same job as we always did. Obviously, we change the technology. We get older. We learn something. We do some mistake. We reach some goals. But at the end, our mind, our philosophy, our way of thinking has been always the same. So put a lot of passion, trying to do our best, and stop. Very simple.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Alberto Cordero di Montezemolo was our guest, and our mod squad for today, of course, is our Italian wine expert, Alan Kwok. Thank you so much. Before we head out, I just want to bring Laika back up. Laika,
Hi, Stevie.
are you
Hello.
finished with your class yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, I'm,
Sorry.
I'm glad you're learning Italian. That's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Laika, who is our next guest and when are we doing the call?
So it's gonna be tomorrow.
Oh,
Because
tomorrow. Excellent.
yes, no, because we have to fill up for the Vinitaly Marathon. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just two for this week. So tomorrow it's Hugh Priest. He will be interviewing Viviana Ganjami.
Okay, excellent. So we'll be looking forward to calling Hugh Priest tomorrow. Of course, we were on the road show with Hugh in Princeton. He owns a bunch of restaurants. He never stops. He's working. He doesn't eat during the daytime. He is fascinating. Last time I believe he interviewed Ariane Occupinti, and that was by far one of our most listened to podcasts. So there you go. Thank you very much. Ciao ragazzi, alla prossima. Ciao Alberto, ciao
Ciao, Stevie.
Alan.
Grazie
Ciao.
mille.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, Alan.
Grazie mille.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.